Currently, most global trade moves through the SWIFT banking system, which stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. It operates as a global financial messaging service facilitating cross-border payments mostly using US dollars and euros. And now the biggest economic bloc, BRICS, is creating an alternative to the SWIFT payment system. But why does BRICS want to create an alternative to the SWIFT payment system? Since the dollar is the world's reserve currency, SWIFT effectively facilitates the international dollar system. It also gives the United States a powerful tool to shape its foreign policy. The United States uses SWIFT as a hammer, punishing countries that don't do its bidding by locking them out of the system. This is exactly what happened to Russia after its military operation in Ukraine. Officials initially indicated Russia wouldn't be locked out of the SWIFT. Still, a few days later, the United States, the European Union, the UK, and Canada issued a joint statement announcing SWIFT would disconnect selected Russian banks from the global payment system. Before I proceed, I encourage you to consider liking the video and don't forget to share your views on the topic in the comment section below. Your feedback is invaluable for us and a wider audience around the world. This wasn't the first time the US used SWIFT and the dollar as a stick to advance its foreign policy goals. In 2014, the Obama administration locked several Russian financial institutions out of SWIFT as relations between the two countries deteriorated over Ukraine and Crimea. A few years later, the Trump administration threatened China in an attempt to force that country to join in sanctioning North Korea. Countries with less than friendly relations with the United States might want to avoid depending on a system that requires American blessings and US dollars. Russia has created its own payment system to make international payments. The Russians began developing the system for transmitting financial messages (SPFS) in 2014 after the US locked Russian banks out of the SWIFT for the first time. By the end of 2020, 23 foreign banks connected to the SPFS. Most of these banks are in developing countries and nations with rocky relationships with the United States, but they also include banks in Germany and Switzerland. According to the governor of the Central Bank of Russia, Elvira Nebulina, the SPFS currently has 159 foreign participants in 20 countries. Similarly, China has developed a system known as the Cross-Border Interbank Payment System (CIPS), and India has developed a system known as the Structured Financial Messaging System (SFMS). BRICS countries would like to integrate all individual payment systems to create a powerful alternative to the SWIFT. The head of currency strategy at forexlive.com, Adam Button, said that creating an independent payment system is in the best interest of the BRICS bloc because SWIFT has been weaponized now. He added, a big portion of the world is always under threat of US or European sanctions, and it's in their interest to create an alternative system. The initial promise or purpose to SWIFT wasn't to be used in the sanctions system. However, they changed the rules for their benefit. He added, I sense that an alternative to SWIFT would have happened long ago if it had been weaponized. Now more and more countries are trying to stay away from the dollar for international trade. Here the question is, what are the main reasons behind the de-dollarization? Actions to weaponize the dollar for the promotion of US foreign policies or to put US economic interests above the rest of the world have been keenly felt, even suffered by other countries, particularly developing countries, as their resilience to external shocks is weak. Once, John B. Connolly, President Richard Nixon's Treasury Secretary, said, "The dollar is our currency, but it's your problem." The dollar is a national currency, and the United States has full sovereignty to make monetary and fiscal decisions with global implications. Yet, there is no mechanism to compel a national government to consult with other countries that will be at the receiving end of the spillover effects of its decisions. Nor does the international monetary system have the leverage to discipline the issuing countries of reserve currencies. This is indeed the world's problem, and now they are looking for an alternative payment system which BRICS can provide. But again, the question is, can such a system succeed? How much time it will take to come into effect? Yes, it can be succeeded. After all, transferring money from bank to bank is not a tough task for BRICS countries. Russia, China, and India have already created their own separate payment systems. There are a few standards to be agreed on, which will definitely take some time, maybe a few months for negotiations. The launch of a BRICS payment system can be a slow process, which will serve as a backup for the sanctioned countries. But eventually, this system will prove out, and a decent part of the world will use it. Understandably, there are differences with the BRICS in using each other's currencies. That's why they are working to create a new common currency based on blockchain and backed by gold. The BRICS countries combined own about 6,500 tons of gold. Now the question is, should we be worried about the new payment system? Will an alternative payment system from BRICS affect the United States? Yes, it will pose a direct threat to dollar dominance. It will not only affect America's foreign policy influence, but it could also accelerate de-dollarization and have significant economic ramifications. Because the global financial system runs on dollars, and the world needs a lot of dollars to keep going. The United States depends on this global demand to underpin its profligate borrowing and spending. De-dollarization could lead to a dollar glut. The only reason the US can borrow, spend, and run massive budget deficits to the extent that it does is the dollar's role as the world reserve currency. It creates a built-in global demand for dollars and dollar-dominated assets. This absorbs the Federal Reserve's money creation and helps maintain dollar strength despite the Federal Reserve's inflationary policies. But what will happen if demand for the dollar drops, leading to a dollar glut? What will happen if BRICS and other countries don't want to hold dollars anymore? A de-dollarization of the world economy would cause the value of the US currency to crash and likely spark a currency crisis. Americans would feel the impact through more price inflation, which could even lead to hyperinflation. This won't likely happen overnight, but the de-dollarization trend is accelerating, and to whatever extent it occurs is a problem for the US. There is already an overabundance of US treasuries in the marketplace, and this is driving up yields. That means higher interest expense for the US government. It's important to remember that nothing guarantees the dollar will maintain its dominance forever. As we know, once the UK's pound dominated the world and then the US dollar dethroned it. And now decreasing trade in dollars will dethrone the dollar from the top. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos on important topics.